The sky was a brooding shade of gray when Ethan decided to try Randonautica, the app that sends you to random locations nearby, promising adventures or the uncanny. He'd heard stories of people finding bizarre places, strange coincidences, or even hidden treasures. But the curiosity that usually got him into harmless trouble was also what led him to this moment, a moment that would shift his life into a nightmare. Ethan input his intention: mystery, hoping to break up the monotony of a slow Tuesday. As the app churned out coordinates just a few miles away, he grabbed his jacket, keys and phone, and set off. The place it directed him to was on the edge of town, close to an abandoned industrial area that he'd never visited. The air felt thick as he reached the location, a dilapidated warehouse with patches of graffiti and broken windows. A cold shiver ran through him, but he reminded himself it was just an app game. He pushed through the loose chain-link gate, his sneakers crunching over gravel, and felt the thrill of entering forbidden territory. He moved closer to the warehouse, hearing faint sounds echoing from inside. Curiosity pulled him toward a large broken window, through which he climbed inside. The smell of dust and rust filled his nostrils as his eyes adjusted to the dim light. At first, he noticed nothing out of place: a few fallen chairs, metal scraps, and random garbage. Then his heart stopped. Across the warehouse, he saw a man. But not just any man, himself. The figure was wearing the same gray jacket, the same scuffed sneakers, the same haunted expression. They locked eyes and Ethan felt the air thickening with something dark, something unknowable. The figure tilted its head, mimicking his shocked expression, then raised its hand in a near-perfect echo of Ethan's trembling wave. "Hello," Ethan managed to whisper, though he already knew there would be no response. The figure just stared, a slow, unsettling smile creeping across its face. Ethan stumbled back, his heartbeat pounding in his chest. What are you?" The figure didn't answer. Instead, it started moving toward him, calmly, slowly, as if savoring each step. Ethan's mind screamed to run, and his legs finally obeyed, stumbling toward the broken window he had climbed through. Behind him, he could hear the soft, relentless footsteps of his double growing closer. He tore through the warehouse and scrambled out into the yard. When he turned back, the figure was gone. There was no sign of pursuit, only the echo of silence and his own panicked breaths. Ethan sped home, locking every door and window, his mind racing. Could he have hallucinated it? No, it had been too real. That thing, that man, looked exactly like him, down to the smallest details. And that smile, the way it had followed him so calmly. What had he stumbled into? The next day, Ethan went about his routine, his nerves on edge. He checked over his shoulder constantly, half expecting his doppelganger to appear in his reflection or around the corner. At work, his coworkers asked if he was okay. He forced a laugh and brushed it off as a bad night's sleep, but the memory of the encounter gnawed at him. That evening, his phone buzzed with a notification. "Randonautica would like to use your location." Ethan stared at the screen, feeling a chill creep up his spine. He hadn't reopened the app since yesterday, but the app persisted, as though it were calling him back. He deleted it from his phone, hoping that would put an end to the strange experience. But the following morning, something even stranger happened. His coworker Jacob greeted him with an odd look. "Hey, weren't you just here?" Ethan frowned. "What do you mean?" "I thought I saw you in the break room a few minutes ago." Jacob shrugged. "Maybe I'm just seeing things." Ethan's stomach twisted. He tried to convince himself it was just a mix-up, but a creeping sense of dread lingered. Over the next few days, he saw glimpses of himself everywhere. In the rearview mirror of his car, across the street, outside his apartment building. The figure was always watching, always waiting, just barely out of sight. Then one night, Ethan returned home and found his apartment door unlocked. He stepped inside, heart pounding. In the darkness, he could make out his own silhouette sitting on the couch. The doppelganger was waiting for him. What do you want?" Ethan stammered, stepping back. The figure stood, moving with eerie familiarity. "I want what you have, Ethan," it said in his voice, a perfect imitation, chilling in its precision. "Your life." Ethan didn't have time to react before the doppelganger lunged. He fought back with everything he had, grappling and shouting. But his doppelganger matched his every move perfectly, anticipating his punches, blocking his kicks. Their struggle raged across the small apartment until the doppelganger forced him to the ground, pressing down with inhuman strength. Gasping, Ethan felt his vision blur as his strength waned. The last thing he saw was his own face staring back at him, calm, victorious. When Ethan awoke, he was in a small, dark space. It was cold, with barely enough room to move his limbs. He realized with horror that he was lying in a shallow grave, dirt pressed against his back. His heart pounded, and he clawed at the earth, fighting to escape. But the earth was thick, unyielding, and his strength was fading. Above him, in the world above, his doppelganger smiled. Now it was Ethan, living in his apartment, going to his job, laughing with his friends, blending seamlessly into his life. Days passed. People noticed a change in Ethan. He was more confident, a bit sharper, even a touch colder than before. His friends couldn't quite put their finger on it, but they liked the new Ethan well enough. Even his boss was impressed by his newfound efficiency. Only the real Ethan, buried in the darkness, knew the truth. As he lay in silence, feeling his life ebb away, he realized that he had indeed stumbled upon something truly mysterious, a mystery he would never be able to solve.